Amen. I pray and hope that you have had a nice breakfast. So as we resume the second and last class, I think, we're going to look at the application of this history and how it looked like. So what we are trying to do is to look at the natural history of Islam, Revelation chapter 9. And as we look at its application, I want just to remind us something. That when we're looking at the spiritual line, there are some factors that we need to consider and to be very careful so that we can avoid wrong conclusion. So just remind us what Brother Amos was taking us through, the principles of approaching the Bible. The Bible is not built upon isolated passages. It's a Bible. It's a book of principles that if we rightly divide it in the right way, we are going to arrive at the right conclusion. And I'm going to focus on the principle of natural to spiritual. And I think when he's taking us through that presentation, he put something like, say, natural, and then what? Spiritual. And then it was like, he put the box, he say, sit. Did you put repeat and enlarge, my brother? Yeah. Oh, compare and contrast, thank you. Compare and contrast. So, this principle of natural to spiritual, you can equate it to compare and contrast. You take the natural story, and then you see how the spiritual look like. But you don't come just from natural to what? Natural. That means you have to understand the context of this history before you make what? An application. For example, we know, for example, the book of Isaiah is a very beautiful book. All of them are good, but it gives us how we need to approach the biblical text. For example, if you want to understand the ministry, the natural story of Isaiah, for example, you have first to understand the historical setting, isn't it? When we go to the natural story, what we actually want to familiarize ourselves with is the natural, or rather historical context of that particular subject that you want to look into. For example, if you want to understand the narrative of Prophet Isaiah, what are you required to do? First, you need to ask yourself where Isaiah is doing what? He's standing. So where do you go? To chapter 1, verse 1. So if you go to Isaiah chapter 1, verse 1, you realize that Isaiah his ministry found place in the days of which kings? Uzziah. Then we have Jotham. And then we have who? Ahaz. And then we have Hezekiah. And you know that Hezekiah was a good king. He cleansed the temple, 2 Chronicles 29. He removed all the idols. But when his son Manasseh came, he's the one who killed Isaiah. So, but you know that Isaiah's ministry is in this history. So every detail that you're going to study in Isaiah, you must understand based on the narrative of what? These kings, before you make a diligent what? Application. For example, a very classical example, we can go to the book of Isaiah chapter 7. We know that the Manasseh, if you rightly divide the word of truth naturally, the Manasseh is who? It's natural. That word Emmanuel in Isaiah chapter 7 is a symbol of who? Not symbol, but it is who? Manasseh. So you know that is a story that you're going to learn from the natural. So when you come to make a diligent application at the end of the world, even the angels, they make a diligent application, say, Manasseh, rather that child, Emmanuel, is who? Is Christ. We come to Isaiah chapter 40, the voice of the one crying in the wilderness. Cyrus. You come to Isaiah chapter 61. It is Cyrus who was anointed, but Christ is also going to make a diligent what? Application to say that I am who? I'm Cyrus. So what you need to understand, you have to make a diligent study of the natural before you come and make what? Application. So having this principle in mind, I think our brother Amos has been taking us through. So our burden is first to understand what? The natural, this story, and then we see how the spiritual look like. So just to do a small recap to remind ourselves. So these are a natural story. And then this is what? Spiritual. So we are going to compare and contrast this history. You see what they want to tell us in our day and age. So in 606 AD, we look at Revelation chapter 9. And I wasn't doing a very comprehensive explanation of every figure in Revelation chapter 9. You can just, there's a document, I think I compiled it. It's called Trumpet 1 and Trumpet 2. Basically just going through. There's no application there. So you just go through, you understand every simple, what does it mean, the locust, all those stuff. But in this history, because of time, you cannot go to every single verse and explain everything. Just giving us a summary, the narrative of every waymark, so that we can make application, diligent application, and we look at it. The subject of Islam is a very deep concept. That's why I said when we began this study, I reminded us that we are living the history of verse 40, and how we conceptualize the history of verse 40. We need to be very careful to understand how our first generation fathers understood it, and how we understand it based on what? Our context. So in 606 AD, what paved way for the rise of Muhammad, we said it's the key, and that key was the battle of what? Nineveh. And this battle of Nineveh, when was it fought? 627. So it will actually began, Muhammad wanted to be recognized in 606. So what is going to make him to arise is what? Is this battle of what? Nineveh, that was fought in 627 AD. But his arrival, beginning to push for his recognition, really began where? 6 or 6 AD. And that's what has been identified in the 1850 chart by the prophet. The rise of who? Muhammad. But now this is the key that is going now to spark his recognition in Arabia. So this is the battle between who? Persia and Rome. After his rise, he was succeeded. He died in 632 AD, and he was succeeded by Abu Bakr. And in the history of Abu Bakr, he began pushing more for the teachings of Islam. He wanted to establish what we call an Islamic empire. That was on his mind. And his first attempt to demonstrate his career was to go and conquer where? Syria. That was his idea. So after his death, that is Revelation 9 verse 4 and 5. That's where his narrative is found. He's going to tell his adherents that when you go to the battle of the Lord, you will find out people in monasteries who worship God as they do. Leave them, don't touch them. But there's another class who are what? The synagogue of Satan. Those crush their skull or force them to acknowledge Mohammedan, and if not, continue suppressing them. And you know, those are the Romans, the religion of Rome. That was the injunction that Abu Bakr was giving his adherents, the locusts, the Saracens, those who were following the teachings of Abu Bakr. So after the death of Abu Bakr, you can see from 632 AD to 1299 is many years, isn't it? So he was succeeded by many caliphs. Many of them, they died, succeeded, but the the major theme that you can get from these successors is that they had one mind to promote the establishment of what? Islamic empire. That was the mind. And one of the demonstrations that really came into history to demonstrate that they want now to establish the Islamic empire is this now another caliph coming, and another empire is called Ottoman. And Ottoman is going to establish what is called known as what? Ottoman Empire. And Ottoman Empire, he first attacked the surrounding of Nicomedia. Nicomedia was just connected to Greece in the eastern part of Roman Empire, where the seat was taken in Constantinople. In Constantinople in the east, that was where the seat of the empire was. So he began now attacking Nicomedia in the month of July 27, 1299. So throughout history, we have this idea of just wanting to establish an Islamic empire as it was instituted by Abu Bakr. So we look at that in July 27, 1299, we have the beginning of the 5 months, or rather 150 years, which terminated in July 27, 1449. And in this holy war, what was actually happening, these adherents of Islam, as they went to war, as Abu Bakr had commanded here in 632, is that when you go to fight, remember that it is a what? A holy war. So you need to have this zeal that we are not fighting for yourself. We need to be in unity, we need to be in harmony. But remember, as you're fighting, don't forget this principle statement, that this is the battle of the Lord. For you to secure paradise, you have to do what? You have to torment, you have to really to kill. That's what they were to do, to conquer. So 150 years brings us to 27 July 1449. Ottoman Empire, for 100 years, he has been succeeded by other sultans. So he was Sultan Ottoman. He has been succeeded by other sultans. So by the time we come to the end of the 150 years, we have another sultan. And what is the name of that sultan in the Ottoman Empire? Amurath now is on the throne of what? Ottoman Empire in Greece. And Ottoman Empire, they want now to come and take Constantinople. That is their idea. Already they have established an Ottoman Empire, but their real idea is to come and take what? Constantinople, where the seat of the Empire of Rome was. That is their ideal purpose. So Amurath, he is the Sultan here and is strong. But in 1449, what happens? There is a Greek emperor called who? John Palaeologus. So John Palaeologus, what happened to him? He dies. And when he dies, what happened? He doesn't have what? A successor. So there's another individual connected to John Palaeologus. Who was he? Constantine Decosis. So Constantine Decosis, he cannot ascend to the throne of Ottoman without the consent of who? Amurath, because Amurath by that time is very powerful. So what did he do? He seek permission to who? Amurath. It was a voluntary what? Surrender of his allegiance to who? To Amurath. And Amurath agreed. And what did they agree to? Amurath should not come and conquer what? Constantinople. He can't do that because they have put an agreement. So here what you can say, there is what? A treaty, all right? Among themselves. It was just a friendly one, okay? It was just a friendly treaty in order to accomplish a specific purpose. So that is the alliance, you can say, between Amurath and who? And Constantine Decosis. Now Amurath is going to die in the year 1451. And when he dies, he's going to be succeeded by who? Mahomet II. The reason why we say Mahomet II, Brother Nyamwe reminded us, who was Mahomet I then? The one that rose where? 640, the founder of Islam. So we are going to have Mahomet II, and it's very interesting. From the rise of Mahomet I, what was this real intention? Is to establish two to be recognized as what? As a prophet, to be strong. And this is the career of Muhammad too. He wanted now, he's going to break this alliance and is going to make a thorough preparation in order to take what? Constantinople. So throughout this period, he's going to invent some very dangerous weapons, the cannons, everything, in their preparation of the attack of the Constantinople. So in 1543, we have attack of Constantinople. So that's what we are actually trying to look at. So remember, at the termination of 150 years that began 27 July 1299, it takes us to where? 27 July 1449. In 1449, at the end of this period, the Second War does what? Begins. And Second War, for how long is it going to last? The Second War, how long is it going to last? 391 years, 15 days. And how the pioneers, especially Josiah Leach, calculated it, that it will take us from 27 July 1449, and it's going to terminate where? 11th August 1840. So in April, in the month of April, date 6 up to 16 of May, Muhammad Ali, together with these adherents, they are going to attack the wall of what? Constantinople. But in this waymark, there are some things that very interesting. When the wall of Constantinople was brought down, what was going on first? What happened? The religion of Rome fell, right? And then what happened? The light of reform. What happened to the reformers? It gave them zeal to carry forward the work of what? Reformation. So here there is a work of Christian what? Reform. And I reminded us, 1543, it lies between what? The history of papal supremacy from 538 AD to 1798. So this history from here to here is what? Papal supremacy. The religion of Rome, apostate church. So when the wall of Constantinople fell, the light of Reformation went forward. Another thing that we identify here from what Askel was telling us is that the fall of Constantinople really shocked Europe. They were not expecting such incident to take place. But when it happened, the whole of Europe, what did they do? They were wondering how that very fortified wall can be brought down by this fanatical group that is Islam. So that's what they were saying. So here we have saying the European nation, they were wondering what was going on. That's what was happening in 1453 history. And I reminded us, if this was 1543, is it 15 or 14? 1453. We have another waymark here, 1529. I want us to go to the book Great Controversy, page 197. Page 197, Great Controversy. Paragraph 1, I'll just read paragraph 2. The Great Controversy, page 197. Paragraph 2. A dark and threatening day had come for the Reformation. So in this history, we can see the work of reform going forward based on this quotation by Stephen Haskell. So the work of reform is going forward. And here, Sister White is going to give us this history of 1529. A dark and threatening day had come for the Reformation. notwithstanding the Edict of Worms, declaring Luther to be an outlaw and forbidding the teachings or belief of his doctrines, religious toleration had thus far prevailed in the empire. God's providence had held in check the forces that opposes what? The truth. And how did God hold in providence the forces that opposes what? The truth. What were these forces that was opposing the truth? The papal, the religion of Rome, papal supremacy. They were trying to crush the so-called what? Heresy according to them. So in this history, God is going to hold in check the forces that opposes what? The work of reform. And what are these that God is going to allow to hold in check the papal supremacy? Charles V was bent on crushing the Reformation, but often as he raised his hand to strike, he had been forced to turn aside the blow. Again and again, the immediate destruction of all who dared to oppose themselves to Rome appeared inevitable. But at the critical moment, the armies of whom? Of the Turk appear on the eastern what? Frontier. What are these eastern frontier? The eastern side of what? That's where they were coming. This is western Rome, and this is where? Eastern, where the seat of the empire was taken by Constantinople. So the armies of the Turks appear on the eastern front, and what happened? But at the critical moment, the armies of the Turk appear on the eastern front, or the king of France, or even the Pope himself, jealous of the increasing greatness of the emperor, made war upon him. And thus, amid strife and tumult of nation, the Reformation had been left to strengthen and do what? Extend. So I want to identify the Turks who actually providing way for the extension of the work of what? Of reform. So that help us to understand Revelation 9 verse 4 and 5, which say that it was commanded them they should not hurt those who have the seal of what? The seal of God, those who have a true religion, but they were to torment those who don't have what? The seal of God. So in this history, we have a restraint. Islam is restrained. But from this time on, Islam was done what? Was loosed to do what? To torment and kill. Now at this time also, they have a king over them, and that king in Hebrew tongue was called what? Abaddon. But in Greek is called Apollyon. The meaning of those two reference words, what is the meaning? Destruction. So in this history, there was to be what? Destruction. And you can see what has been happening historically in this history. So what I want us to identify is that throughout this period, the Turks, or rather the power of Islam, they were among those who paved the way for the work of reform to go forward. So the 391 years, 15 days bring us where? 11 August 1840. 2 years before the event of 11 August 1840, Josiah Leach, one of the prominent ministers in the military history, he predicted the fall of what? Ottoman Empire that was established when? When was the Ottoman Empire established? Around this period, Ottoman, all right, is going to establish his kingdom in this history. But Josiah Leach, for many years, this empire has been there. It has been doing some destructive work. But it's going to end where? 11th August, 1814. And just to remind us, the beginning of the 391 years, 15 days, there was a treaty made, isn't it? And that treaty was between who and who? Amurath, Sultan Amurath and Constantine Decourses. So we expect, based on that explanation, when it's going to come to an end, this period also must end with what? A treaty. So this is the natural story, treaty. And we're going to look at this is the restraint that led to the restraint of Islam. So prior to 11 August 1814, there had been an ongoing war between Egypt, Muhammad Ali, the Pasha of Egypt, this nation, and then we have Turkey, the power that Sister White has identified here in 1529, Turkey. And Turkey, their geography, they are really connected to area where there is a a lot of oil. So they are strategically placed in a point where they can gain a lot of advantage than other European nations. So you realize that these two nations, they are in constant war with each other. They don't agree over many issues. And Egypt, through Muhammad Ali, is the Pasha of Egypt, is going to retaliate against Turkey, and Turkey will begin, crumbling. But we have the four European nations here. We have Russia. We have England, Austria, and what? Prussia. And these are the what? The Christian nation. And as they are seeing this tension going between these two powers, they are going to come up with an ultimatum to solve all this issue that is going on here. And Turkey is going to surrender its allegiance, or rather it's going to give its allegiance to whom? To this four European power to seek protection against the invasion by who? Muhammad Ali. And what really the pioneer marks the end of Ottoman Empire here is the Ottoman Empire surrendering their power to who? To this Christian nation. Through that ultimatum, if Egypt was actually asked not to interfere with the work of Turkey, nor should Turkey interfere with what? Egypt. But Egypt was still doing what? Pushing to go and conquer who? The Ottoman Empire through those issues of oil and other issues. That's what they were actually wanting to invade. So by this submission to this Christian nation, what Turkey is really saying, or the Ottoman Empire, we are going to allow you to fight for us. We are not going to engage in this war. We are going to give you what? Our power. We're going to submit to you. So that's what really the pioneers marked as the restraint of Islam. It was not just a terrible war, people fighting using battle like that. No, it was just a restraint whereby the Ottoman Empire, or the Turkey, they are going to surrender their power to who? To the Christian nation, just like Constantine decauses voluntarily surrender his power to who? To Amurath. It was not a hot war that they were engaging in. So the same thing happened 11 August 1840. And I can recommend us to Josiah Leach's work. He's going to explain how the Ottoman Empire ceased in 11 August 1840 based on the prediction that he had made in 1838. So the second war that began in July 27, 1449 is going to end where? 11 August 1840. But there is a quotation by Hassan Foss. He'll tell us that the seventh trumpet was still sounding till when? 1844. That's why I've extended this line here. So our burden now is to come and try to look how the spiritual look like. So before we begin looking at this waymark, I just want to remind us how we developed 1989 as a waymark, as time of the end. This is a reference of Daniel 11, verse 40b. And Daniel 11:40 it has a lot of history. It has a lot of narrative. And if we were to go to the spiritual prophecy, if we were to go to early writing, page 299, paragraph 4, Sister White will tell us that had Adventists, after 1844, been faithful, the Lord could have wrought mightily with them. They could have accomplished the work that God had in them, and Jesus could have come long time ago. And based on prophetic structures, we realize that Christ will have come when? 1863 as the second coming. So our question is, this is the time of the end, 1798. And this is Daniel 11. So how did they understand this verse, Daniel 11 verse 40? And one of the preacher, and that is, I'm going to remain with Josiah Leach, he had done a very exemplary work in explaining the 40th verse of Daniel 11. And how he approached Daniel 11. For us, for example, in 1989, we are going to focus to the king of the Saddest to be who? Russia, isn't it? Okay, we're going to say Russia. Okay, 1989, we have Russia as the king of the South. And we're going to say the king of the North is who? The United States of America. To the pioneers, they did not know about Russia, even the United States of America rising in 1798 by this time. How they were focusing verse 40 as you go to the works of Josiah Leach and even the book Daniel and Revelation by Uriah Smith. They'll give you the king of the North to be who? Turkey. The king of the South to be who? Egypt. And how they understand the political event that was going around that history. And the hymn that is going to put it there, who is the hymn? France. The revolutionary France. So this is the power that they're going to focus onto, how they understand that verse according to their generation. Since there was a failure here, you'll find that later, in 1904, Sister White, how he's going to explain Daniel 11, is to say that we are living in the time of the end, and the prophecies of the 11th chapter of Daniel 11 has nearly reached its what? Complete what? Fulfillment. And it's in this history that we are going to see Uriah Smith making an exposition of Daniel 11, 40 to 45. And what Uriah Smith did, when you look at this book, Daniel and Revelation, you open it and you begin reading and you go and compare with the work of Josiah Leach. What he has done is just copying and doing what? Pasting. How do you know that? That book, Daniel and Revelation, this one, it found this history around 1886, 1880s there. But Josiah Leach, he really understood this concept in this history, how he approached verse 40. And if Christ could have come here, the understanding of the 40th verse of Daniel 11, it was right. But after this failure, it is our generation, we need to conceptualize how the 40th verse of Daniel 11 does what? Look like. Because when you go to Adventist structure, which position do they hold of Daniel 11, 40 to 45? Which version do they hold on to? Josiah Leach version. And to them it's right, but when you confront them, you say, oh, you people are not right. But they are right, but they are on the wrong side, because which history are they in? In this generation. But in our generation, how we conceptualize that verse, as it has been explained in Time magazine, how we understand it, that is the case because in the generation we are living with the current political issue that we are facing in. So in this generation, they fail. So it is us now to come with a diligent application and understand how it look like. So if we were to have Daniel 11, I think we will come and explain this narrative when we'll be looking at the Syrian war in the military history. So we have Daniel 11 verse 40. It comes in two parts. This is 1798. I think Sister White gives us this waymark. And then we have Daniel 11 verse 40b, which gives us 1989. So the part that Leach is going to focus here is Islam, that led to his calculation in 11 August 1840. He did not just come with 11 August 1840. He had first to go back in this history, 1798, and understand what is going on. And he came up with a very good structure of the event of 11 August 1840. So here we have Turkey. And then in our history, what we're really focusing on, we have been looking at what? Russia. So as we track this line, do not be amazed as we look at this line of spiritual. Why are we focusing majorly on Russia? And you have been, if you have been following the Midnight Cry message, you realize that I can't estimate it, but I don't know which percent I can give it, but a lot has been focusing on who? Russia, the king of the south, the victory of the king of the south. And that has been the theme of the Midnight Cry message. We're focusing on the power of Russia, how it's going to behave at Raphia, and even how it's going to look like at what? At Panium. So that is the theme that we've been focusing in this history. So as we'll be looking, if we were to compare and contrast the history of the 1798, how the Millerites understood the 40th verse of Daniel 11, we have also need to understand how this power look like in our history. I think in our next lesson, we are going to look at this history in more detail, God willing. So what I want us to do is to have an application of this line that we had drawn to see how it look like in our history. And we are going mostly to look how Russia is behaving in this history in the line of Islam. So 606 AD, I'm going to parallel it with 1989, and then July 27, 1299 is 2001, September 11. We have 27 July 1449. We're going to parallel it with 2019. And what is 2019 to us? Yes? What is 2019 to us? Which way mark is it? Raphia, right? And then the fall of Constantinople, 1453, we are going to mark it as what? 2021. What is it? Panium. So this is Raphia, and this is Panium. And 11 August 1840, I'm going to parallel it with Sunday law, and then 22nd October 1840, I'm going to put it as close of probation. So let's go now to our natural story. For the rise of what actually orchestrated the rise of Mahomet, it was two powers that paved the way for the rise of Mahomet. And these two powers are who? Persia and Rome. So by comparing and contrast, we must also have in 1989, when radical Islam was rising, we must also have how many powers? Two. They were contending for what? For supremacy. So prior to 1989, remember before even we come to 606 AD, there had been an ongoing war between who and who? Persia and Rome. So even before we come to 1989, we have two contending forces, or other powers can say. I'm going to take us to the year 1979. In 1979, what we normally mark is a 10-year period of what? Afghan war, isn't it? What was the nature of this war? Was it a proxy war? Yes, it was a proxy war between which powers? Russia and United States of America. Russia and United States of America, which now is a symbol of these two powers. So we're going to have Russia and United States of America. Remember, what you want to do is to understand how the radical Islam was rising when? In 1989. So before we come to 1989, there's a lot of issue that is happening in 1989. Despite the Afghan war, you can identify the rise of which movement? Moral majority, right? So you can mark the rise of moral majority there. But another thing that was happening in 1975, we have what we call what? Iranian Revolution. this country, Iran. We have the Iranian Revolution. So in Iranian Revolution, it was a sect of Muslims who were trying to bring down the government. And one of the mistakes they did as they were bringing chaos in Iran, they went into the US embassy in Iran. And what they do, they went there and found the workers who are doing work in that embassy, and most of them were Americans. So they're going to take them, and they're going to really mistreat them. So that thing is going to displease the United States of America. So in this Iranian revolution, we are going to have, because this is the beginning of Afghan war, we are going to have Iran and revolution going into tension with the United States of America because of what they did in the US embassy in Iran. So Iran now is fearing of what US is going to do, is going to seek assistance from Russia. So Iran is going to be backed by Russia. We have Russia. And this Iranian revolution, they also have problem with who? Iraq. So Iran and Iraq, this revolution, they are intimately connected with the war between Iraq and Iran, with the political issue that is happening there. So Iran is going to side with Russia, and then Iraq is going to do what? It's going to be backed by who? United States of America. But besides United States of America, Iraq too is going to be backed by who? It's going to be backed by Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. So these two powers, Russia and United States, they're in a proxy war besides the Afghan war. But Iran is going to be assisted by who? Russia, and Iraq is going to be backed by United States of America and Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. In this Iranian revolution, remember, they still also have a problem with Iraq. And that has been always the issue with oil issue. So these two powers, the antagonist power, Russia and United States of America, though they are not fighting physically, they are going to have their own puppets. That is Iran and Iraq. But remember, Iraq is supported by United States of America, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait. So this war is going to end when? 1989. And 1989 is a very significant year. We have many events taking place there, but I'm going to mark the fall of what? Berlin Wall. And the United States of America is going to have that victory. I'm not going to identify other waymarks here. The unholy alliance between John Paul and Reagan. I'm just going to focus on this issue of Islam, how Islam rose in 1989 as a radical. So what happened in 1989, Russia is going to be defeated. The fall of Berlin Wall, and it's the people who actually were on the eastern side brought down the Berlin Wall. But after 1989, Iran too, because it was siding with Russia, Iran also is going to be done what? To be defeated. Because if Russia is going to be defeated, what also is going to happen to Iran? They're going to be done what? To be defeated. But remember, in this war, Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, they were also supporting who? Iraq. So after 1989, what is going to happen? Kuwait, because they are the one who are funding who? United States of America, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait, they are funding Iraq in order to overcome who? Iran. So in 1989, Kuwait, what Kuwait is going to do is going to demand that Iraq should pay back what they have been given during what? This war. So Iraq is like being asked by Kuwait, please pay us back what we have been doing what? We had been aiding you in this war between Iran and you. But will Iraq going to fulfill the condition? It's not going. But remember, even in 1979, with the issue of Iraq, we have another very prominent individual called Saddam Hussein. So in 1979, we have the rise of Saddam Hussein. And Saddam Hussein is going to receive all this financial assistance, be it a military assistance, from these three entities: United States of America, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait. And most of Kuwait now, because he's going through a financial crisis by this time, he's going to say, okay, please Iraq, pay us back what we gave you while you were fighting with Iran. But Iraq is not going to fulfill what Kuwait is demanding. So what Saddam is going to do, they're going to have now tension. There's going to be tension between Kuwait and Iraq, because Iraq is failing to fulfill the demand that Kuwait is requesting. So there's going to be tension between Kuwait and Iraq. And in 1990, just the way this Battle of Nineveh, it was not just a single waymark that this war was fought in 606. It was just progressive from 606 AD to 627 AD, where we have the Battle of Nineveh. So in the same manner, in the year 1990, what Iraq is going to do is going to invade what? Kuwait. So 1990, Iraq invade Kuwait. And when Iraq invades Kuwait, remember, it's Saddam Hussein. United States of America is not going to feel good with how Iraq is behaving. So after Iraq really attack Kuwait, United States of America is going to say, hey, what are you doing to Kuwait? It's going to actually to feel angry. So what happened in 1991, United States of America, what is he going to do? He's going to invade who? Iraq. And now while they are now fighting against Iraq, who is going to come back to back up Iraq? Russia. You get that? So Russia also is not going to feel well or good the way United States of America is doing what? Behaving. Remember, if you have been following up the presentations, in this history, after the fall of Berlin Wall, 1988, before 1989, we have this president of Soviet Union. What is his name? Mikhail Gorbachev. So Mikhail Gorbachev, you know, he's seeing that the Soviet Union is crumbling down. And he's seeing United States of America emerging as what? A superpower. So he doesn't want United States of America to misbehave and intimidate other nations. So what he's going to come up with is what we call the new what? World order. And I think Brother Murukyu has been, if you have been taking us through that concept. So this new world order that Mikhail Gorbachev came up with is that we need to have that equal ground. There's no one is going to be more powerful than the other one. We need to treat each nation in a friendly manner, or rather, what we need to have cooperation, what we call globalism. But with the attack of the Iraq in 1981 by United States of America, they are going to show some kind of dissatisfaction with this model of Mikhail Gorbachev that he came up with, and it's going to behave, or rather, it's going to misbehave with coming with this idea of what? Nationalism. If globalism is the idea of nation cooperating together in terms of economy, etc., United States of America is going to act like what? A boss. We are the ones saying, and all other nations, they are supposed to do what? To submit to us. Even before the invasion of Iraq, they will ask, United States of America, they will ask, this war is between who? Iraq and Kuwait. They should be left to solve their issue alone. United States of America should not do what? Interfere. But when United States of America attacked Kuwait, what happened? Now we have, remember, he's attacking Iraq, and who is Iraq? Who is the leader of Iraq by this time? We have Saddam what? Hussein. So Saddam Hussein, they are going now to, he's a very radical person. He's going now to come up with a very, can say a fanatical group, a terrorist group, what we call what? What is the name of that terrorist group that they come up with? The Mujahideen, all right? So they're going to create what you call Mujahideen. So it's an Islamic group, is a terrorist group. And this came up as a result of what? Of America attacking who? Iraq. And remember, Iraq by this time now has sided with which power? Russia. So remember, in the Battle of Nineveh, we had two factions, Persia and who? Rome. In this history, we have two prominent individuals. The players in this history, they are who? United States of America and Russia. So with all this history that is happening at this time, America misbehaved, and for them attacking Iraq, they created what? Mujahideen. They are going to be very hungry. Why is America interfering with the issue of what? Iraq and Kuwait. So with this invasion of Iraq by the United States of America is going to form the invasion, or rather the invention of Mujahideen. Just the way in this Battle of Nineveh, we are going now to have the rise of who? Muhammad. In the Battle of Nineveh. Of course, he rises in 606 AD, but we can see him here. But what really identifies him as now the ruler of Islam is the Battle of what? Nineveh. Because when this power ceases, what happened? Muhammad now began to propagate his teachings. Same in this history. We have in this history tension between United States of America and Russia. And the United States of America and Russia, they have got their own allies. United States of America, they are siding with Saudi Arabia and who? Kuwait. And in this period, we have Russia supporting who? Iran. After the Afghan war, we have Russia. Of course, Russia is going to be defeated in 1991 with the dissolution of the Soviet Union. So by this time, in this 1989, we are going to have tension between Kuwait and Iraq. And this tension is just about Kuwait demanding Iraq to pay back what it had been supported with in this history of revolution, Iranian revolution, to fight back Iran between these two countries. So Iraq is not going to fulfill the demand. What they are going to say, hey, we were in a battle, we were to help each other. It was not just about you giving me money or support and then I return it back. It was not like that. So that's how Iraq is going now to disregard the condition of Kuwait. So when they do that, tensions still are continuing on. But in 1990, Iraq is going to invade who? Kuwait. Remember, it's their personal issue, what they are fighting on. But United States of America, instead of trying to solve those issues, is going to side with who? Kuwait. And is going to invade who? Iraq. And as a result of invading Iraq in 1991, what happened? A radical group, Islam, the Mujahideen, they are going to do what? To arise. And these are the same Mujahideen that they are going to attack the American soil in 2001, September 11. So what we have here, after looking at this natural story, we can see how it parallels with this history. So remember the big two players in this history. We have United States of America and Russia. And if United States of America couldn't have invaded Iraq, the Mujahideen could not have misbehaving and even attack the American soil in 2001. So this is what we wanted us to see. We have the history of 606 AD to 627, and we have the history of 1989 to 1991. We have two prominent key players that play a very big role in the rise of Muhammad. In this history, we also have two key prominent players, United States of America and Russia, play a very key role, most United States of America, in doing what? Marking the rise of who? Mujahideen. Now the question is, in this history of Persia and Rome, who was more powerful? Persia, Khosrow's too, isn't it? Now who is more powerful here? United States of America. So you can try just to compare and contrast and see this history, how it works on. So I want us to come here, September 2001, with the attack of American soil by Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda, when was Al-Qaeda formed? Because this Mujahideen, they are going through some transition. And believe, was Al-Qaeda formed in 1998? The lack of Osama bin Laden. I think it's 1998, right? If you can check, please. So now let's go to July 27, 1299. We have Muhammad rising, and it needs to be recognized. And after the death of Muhammad, we have many individuals succeeding Muhammad, including Abu Bakr. And the role of Abu Bakr, when he took, succeed after Muhammad, his idea is that he wanted to establish what? An Islamic kingdom. That was the idea of Abu Bakr. And Abu Bakr, he wanted to establish himself what? A caliph. And the instruction that is given his followers throughout this period is that you have to do what? Torment, but don't do what? Kill. And he's going again to give them an instruction. When you go to this battle, there's a people, based on the Bible, they should not hurt those who have the seal of God, but to do what? To hurt those who don't have, isn't it? And that is the religion of Rome. So we have here, after many, many years, Abu Bakr, with this idea of establishing an Islamic kingdom, it's going to be fulfilled in the days of Uthman. I want us to remember that after the death of Muhammad, he was succeeded by many, many, many individuals, including Abu Bakr, some other complicated names, I cannot mention them. So we have, by the time we come here, we have this guy called Uthman. And Uthman is going to invade what? Nicomedia. And Nicomedia was just a territory near where? Greece. So he's going to mark their first invasion of the Islamic people to attack a territory near Constantinople. It was where? Nicomedia. So this is the first narrative, or rather the first incident where we see the successors of Muhammad making an assault to another empire, and that is Greece. And this is the battle that Ottoman did while it was trying to establish the Ottoman Empire by invading Nicomedia. So if you are to bring to this line, 2001, we have, as a result of this misbehavior that America did that sparked the rise of Mujahideen and even the creation of Al-Qaeda, they are going to respond by attacking American soil. In which year? September 11, 2001 on Tuesday. Remember that. So that is what we can mark with the attack of Nicomedia, with this history of American soil. So we have the Twin Towers. So they were brought down by the terrorist group, and what actually Osama bin Laden, he just acknowledged that they were the one who brought these Twin Towers down. And that is the result of this Mujahideen rising in this history. So the key that unlocked the rise of radical Islam, it was tensions between the United States of America and Russia that led to this history, just the way in this waymark. Now we have the duty to look at Russia and see how this application look like. Remember previously I've told you how we ought to understand the 11th verse of what? The 40th verse of Daniel. And I think Elder Tess has been laying on ground the resurrection of the king of who? Of the north and the king of the south. And who is the king of the south in our history? Russia. And just to remind us, when you have this model, we define waymarks based on context of what is happening around us. Just the way the pioneers were doing. We look at what is happening in the political world that are the signs of the times, and then we compare with the prediction of what? God's word, isn't it? So I'm going to mark July 1449, 27 July 1449, with the event of what? Russia. So let me not assume that all of us understand how the waymark 2019 was developed. And I reminded us, we have a couple of subjects in the public record, how we arrived in 2019. We have the prophetic timeline, that is the number 151, 490, 126, 63, etc. Just go and check them. Again, we have what? The line of what? Revolution. The French Revolution, Russian Revolution, German Revolution, and the United States of America. You can just have those studied. Another illustration of the 2019, we have the number 10, right? The number 10 illustrates how we arrived in 2019. Now our burden, as we have been going through the history of Islam in this line, this is our natural story, and now we have to come up with what? Spiritual applications. That's what we're supposed to do. Now, in the natural story, what did we have? A peace treaty. A voluntary what? Surrender. One group, or rather one faction, or rather an individual, surrendering his allegiance to who? To another party. So, we must also have that idea here. And before we come that, we know from the prediction of 2019, we say who is going to win this battle. We have two prominent factions. Who are they and they? Russia and United States of America. So we have Russia as what? King of the South. And then we have United States of America as king of the North. So when you look at the natural story, as Brother Amos was telling us, and we need to take serious those basic studies as we look at them. It's very, very important. So the natural should give us how the spiritual look like. Now, we define waymarks based on what? How do we define waymarks? Context, all right? We define waymarks by context, what is happening. So by the prediction 2019, we say who is going to win here? The king of the South. So he's more strong, it's more powerful, isn't it? So we must also come here and identify the most powerful person here. Who was he? Amurath, thank you. So we have Amurath. So we must have the same player here. So the win of the king of the South, I want just to give in a most simple fashion. In this history, we have the attack of Iraq here by the United States of America. And I want to do that. I'll do that in another lesson. I remember. I'm going to remain with Russia and United States of America here. So we want to see this treaty, or rather an alliance. And I'm saying, who is the king of the South? Because you cannot separate a king from a kingdom. Who is the king of Russia? Putin. So Putin is the king of Russia. And who is the king of the United States of America? The king of the North? Trump. So we must see one individual, before he ascends to the throne, he has to seek permission from who? From another individual. All right? So the question is, from this line, who do you think is going to seek permission for him to rule? Rispa. It seemed to be...
Yes, I don't know the conclusion of that remark, but something is ringing in my mind.
What is it?
That Trump came into power in 2016.
I want to bring that story from here, because we don't put it just like a waymark like that. We have to... Because it's the win for the king of the South. It was not just a point in time. It's progressive. You get that? For example, okay, just forgot it. So we don't just treat them as a waymark. As just a point. For example, the word of impeachment that we predicted here. When did it begin? September 24th. But it went progressively until when? December 18. You see that? So that's how we treat them. So when I'm saying that Putin is going to win here, Trump is going to surrender to Putin, we can even begin putting it from when? 2014. Because the issue here is what? An alliance, isn't it? And 2014 is the midway between what? 9/11 and 2019. So you can just bring your story, the development until here. So in 2014, when you go to the line of World War II, where do we parallel it with? There's a pact, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, right? Between Hitler and who? Stalin. And this is the alliance in the history of Pirates in where? Macedonia. It was an alliance between who and who? Pirates and Demetrius, through a marriage alliance. So you can see this alliance, it was just voluntary. And who is going to seek this alliance? Is Trump. 2014, I don't know whether it's 2013 to 2014, Trump was where? In Moscow. And we don't know what they were discussing, but based on the line, what they are saying, the line should tell us what was happening through other lines. There's an alliance here. And this alliance is going to escalate. We come to 2016, the US presidential election, we can show that we have Russia meddling in this 2016 presidential election. And who is disregarding the institution of America? Instead of seeking power from his people, he's seeking assistance from another what? Individual. And who is he? Trump. Just like Constantine Decauses, instead of seeking permission from his people to ascend the throne, he's seeking permission from another power. Islam here. And who was he? Amurath. So the same thing we have to see here. It's about what? Putin, king of the south, king of the north, Trump, seeking permission from who? Putin. And that is an alliance that began when? In 2014 onward up to where? 2019. Right? So I believe the studies that are in public record can explain to us more, and I think Brother Muruki has been dealing with that concept. So now for us now to identify this way Mark Paniam. This line of Muhammad II, dying and begin preparation, I don't know which application you can come up with to put it here. But when we'll be looking at the Iranian Revolution, the Syrian Revolution, we are going to bring that line here again. We are going to see the rise of Zakawi, Abu Musab al-Zakawi, and Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. We're going to see the likes of the creation of ISIS, that when we'll be looking at the other line. But this one is totally different. So when you come to Paniam, something is going to do what? To fall, isn't it? Natural story tells us the Ottoman Empire is going to invade what? Constantinople. They are going to bring down what? The wall, isn't it? They are going to bring down the wall. So, and we know in 2021, if it's Paniam, who is going to be defeated? Russia, right? So Russia is going to be defeated. But at the same time, in this way, Mark, what is happening to the United States of America? It begins to misbehave. How does it misbehave? From a constitutional republic to what? To a dictatorial form. This is the line of Acts 27, and when we're looking at it, this is from the Sea of Pamphylia and what? Cilicia, isn't it? The United States of America is crumbling, but it's rising as what? As a dictator. So we need to look at this way, Mark, the fall of the wall. How does this wall, the wall of Constantinople, when it was brought down, how does it what? Look like? Remember, Constantinople, it was the metropolitan area of Rome. And when it was brought down, it's Rome which is brought down. It's going to be defeated here. But if we look at this way, Mark, we see yes, Islam has to appear in 2021. That's what I'm saying, Islam. And we need now to bring other lines, because 2021, we mark the end of what? The Iranian Revolution. And the end of the Iranian Revolution is a proxy war between who and who? Russia and United States of America. And when this Iranian Revolution is going to end, of course Russia is going to be defeated. But the subject of Islam is going to do what? To arrive here. So the question now again remains, we are in the information age, isn't it? The Big Bang, the World Wide Web from 1989. We're in the information, what do we say? We are not in a what? In a hot war, isn't it? But again, we are being questioned. If you are in a hot war, we are in information age. What about September 11, 2001? What kind of attack was that? I don't believe it's a hot war. That attack is the nature of Islam, like a scorpion. How it attacked it just suddenly and what? Unexpectedly. I cannot say it was just a hot war, because the line says we are in the information age. So we need to figure out how Islam arrived in 2001. And again, we have to look how 2021 will look like, and how the subject of Islam will look like. Because we have other lines. For example, the line of the Third Adoki War tells us the Mujahideen, the Nabateans, we mark them with Paniam. So The line says we are going to have the arrival of what? Islam where? 21. So our natural story then, we need now to figure all this issue. The religion of Rome fall, and the work of Christian Reformation done what? It progressed well. So you have to check this issue, because we know from Panium 2021 is the harvest of which group? The Levites. So we have to see, if Islam is going to arrive here, we must also have a religious work going on. Just like when the wall of Constantinople was brought down, the work of reform was carried forward. And we must see what is this wall that is brought down here. And I'm saying, this wall, it was the wall of Rome, and I'm going to equate it with the United States of America in this history. Because America, when there's a line that I gave us, and I say that when Rome is rising in 31 BC, the Battle of Actium, it was given a 360-year period till we come to 330 AD. And 330 AD, Rome was rising as a republic. But after many years, what you're going to have, Rome is going now to misbehave, is going to be dictatorial from 538 AD to 1798. And in this history, we are going to have an element of what? Islam. So when Rome became a dictator, in this history, we are going to see the subject of Islam arriving, begin to scourge this apostate church. The Papal Church controlling the European kings. So I'm contending saying, from Paniam we know America is now falling as a constitutional republic and is rising as what? A dictator. And what will mark the beginning of this America speaking like a dragon until the Sunday law is the subject of Islam, and it escalates. Islam is going to be restrained at the Sunday law, just like this way mark we parallel 11 August 1840 paralleling what? Sunday law. So to be honest, I don't have any light to say it will be how it will look like, but I'm saying all of us, I think, if you have that light how it will look like, you're going to give us. But I'm saying Islam is going to do what? American soil is going to be invaded, but we don't know how does it look like. Because here, even if you are living in the information age, but you can see the work of what? September 11, 2001. What about 2021 at the conclusion of the Syrian war, not Iranian war, Syrian war that will end in 2021? So that is the burden that we need to figure out how it look like, right? So I'm saying, as the United States of America is crumbling down, as a constitutional republic is rising up as a dictator, just as in this history of Rome, Rome 2, and then here we have Rome 1, as a republic, as a dictator. So America is rising as a dictator, an element of Islam has to appear, just as here the element of the Turkish appeared here. And in this history, since 2021 to Sunday law is the harvest of the Levites. This work of reform, the Christian reform that continue forward after the fall of the Constantinople, it has to progress, that will orchestrate the harvest of the Levites. That's what I'm trying to say. But by the time we come to Sunday law, just the way 11th August 1840, Islam was restrained, even at the Sunday law, it has to be done what? To be restrained as the harvest of who? The Nethanim goes on. So that's what I can say. I know my time is over, right? So I hope other presenters are not going to wrap this, so that we come back later tomorrow, God willing, we look at it. So continue thinking about it, right? About 2021 and how this history look like. We'll come and review it later. Yes?
I just want to ask.
Yes.
In the 1053,
yeah.
what did they use to break the wall?
To break the wall, the canons. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
They were
the new mode of warfare.
Yes. That was the newest in that age.
Yes, yes.
So I'm just trying to think aloud. We are in an information age.
Yeah.
So are we going to see a new mode of like equipment, quote unquote, invented in this kind of age that will be used to attack
Okay, so I really don't know about that, but you just remind me that there's a preparation that was made before even where 1453, and here we have Mahomet II after the death of who? Amurath. He's going to make a thorough preparation, invention of cannon, the fire, the I don't know what are those, but the cannon, very mode of warfare that was going to be used to bring down the wall of Constantinople. So I don't know which kind of mode of warfare that's going to appear here. And when we're looking at the Syrian war, we have this individual, this brother called, he died recently by the US troops, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, he succeeded a guy called Abu Musab al-Zakawi in 2010. And we know the character, we'll be looking at that guy. So I don't know what is the impact of this guy killing this, American killing this caliphate, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. I don't know what will be the impact, what will be the effect of this ISIS group. How are they going to respond with seeing their leader are killed? So when you come to another presentation, let me go and try to figure out how it look like, and then we'll come and try to clarify other issues. So if you don't mind, you can bow for the word of prayer. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you for your goodness and mercies, for this privilege and opportunity that thou hast given unto us to gather here for the sake of studying your word. We thank you for the blessings that thou hast accorded unto us throughout the week, and we pray, Father, that may you continue to be with us. May you reveal unto us the difficult subjects that, Lord, we are trying to understand. Without you, Lord, we can do nothing. Lord, we want to pray for our brethren in different fields in this world. May you be with them and guide them. We thank you, Lord, for the studies and all the studies that we still continue to look into. May, Lord, give us the light, for thou hast promised that if we ask anything according to thy name, it shall be given unto us. As we take a short break, we ask you, Lord, may you help us to continue meditating upon thy word, and the mistakes that, Lord, we have been holding on to, may you help us to have that spirit of a child, to be ready to learn and to unlearn. Guide us and be with us is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.